Pagan Principals witches do not view their religion as a reaction to or reversal of Christianity, as is the case with much of Satanism. Rather, they prefer to see it as an independent tradition, an alternative religion or faith, like Hinduism or Taoism. Indeed, they see witchcraft as being pre-Christian and not arising as a backlash to it. Witches view themselves as fine-living, life-celebrating and affirming folk who worship the Mother Goddess, in all her many facets of revelation via creation, and her consort, the Horned God. Contemporary witchcraft is so diverse and eclectic that it is extremely difficult to accurately identify and define. In fact, it is almost impossible to state that all witches believe this or that. No sooner will this be uttered than someone will speak up and assert that they are a witch and do not believe what you just stated. There are, however, commonalities shared by most who appropriate the word witch for themselves. It is important to keep in mind that the following tenets do not necessarily apply to all witches, but on the whole they are valuable general guidelines for defining witchcraft. The creed of no creed. First among the beliefs of witchcraft is the creed of experience. Experience is exalted dogmatically above, and often set in opposition to, creeds or doctrines. In short, experience is superior to doctrine. Aidan Kelly, who was formerly involved in neopaganism, noted, what really defines a witch is a type of experience people go through. These experiences depend on altered states of consciousness. The craft is really the yoga of the West, emphasis in original. The witchcraft experience is often expressed as a mystical experience, that feeling of ineffable oneness with all life. Witchcraft is therefore a religion based first and foremost on the sense of being one and in harmony with all life. Tolerance is another highly touted value among witches. Diversity of belief and practice is viewed as not only healthy but essential to the survival of humanity and planet Earth, and to spiritual growth and maturation as well. Independence, autonomy, and the freedom to experience, believe, think, and act as one desires are defended, as if they were divine rights. Witches do become intolerant, however, when they perceive intolerance and authoritarianism in other individuals and faiths, which they would term religious imperialism. So we have statements like number 10 of the Council of American Witches' Principles of Wiccan Belief: our only animosity toward Christianity, or towards any other religion or philosophy of life, is to the extent that its institutions have claimed to be the only way and have sought to deny freedom to others and to suppress other ways of religious practice and belief. These beliefs stem from the notion that ultimately there is no right or wrong religion or morality. Relativism in all areas of life, including ethics and metaphysics, is the rule. Truth is what is true for you, right what is right for you, but neither are necessarily so for me. The only absolute is that there are no absolutes. Thus, all have the right to believe and practice what they will. In this context, one often hears the story of the 3 blind men who have all grasped different parts of an elephant, tusk, trunk, and tail, and, in describing it, each man thinks he alone has the truth. This view of life derives from an open metaphysical concept that reality is multiple and diverse. There is no single logic or view that is complete or adequate to handle the complexity and multiplicity of reality. Therefore, we should not limit ourselves to the narrow purview of one person or religion, but be open-minded and tolerant of differing views. This understanding of reality is closely associated with 3 key concepts: animism, pantheism, and polytheism. Witches view all reality as a continuum of consciousness and being. Thus, they seek to live in harmony and be psychically in tune with nature. Incidentally, whatever else witches may believe and do, because of these views they are not involved in animal or human sacrifices. For many witches, the second pillar of their world, implicit in their version of animism, is pantheism. Not only is the life force pervasive throughout our world, but all the world is divine. Divinity is inseparable from, and immanent in, nature and humanity. Since most witches teach that we are divine, or potentially so, it is clear why someone like Margaret Adler, a witch herself, approvingly quotes a particular neopagan group's greeting to its female and male members respectively: "Thou art goddess, thou art god." Most are not this brash but nevertheless hold that we, like nature, are divine. The third pillar is polytheism. As defined by many witches, however, polytheism is not merely the belief in multiple deities, a pantheon of gods and goddesses, but also the belief that there are multiple levels of reality, that is, the open metaphysics referred to earlier. According to this view, there are an infinite, or at least incomprehensible, number of levels of meaning and explanations about our world. These allow not only a multitude of gods, goddesses, and religions to exist simultaneously, but also views of reality that would otherwise appear to be mutually exclusive. All are true as far as they go. Hence, witches can align themselves with a particular goddess and or god, or group thereof, and still grant the validity of other alternative religions. The mother goddess and the horn god. Most witches experience, believe in, invoke, or worship the mother or triple goddess and her male consort, the horn god. Both are believed to be immanent deities accessible to humanity. The mother goddess, whose three primary roles are mother, maiden, and crone, is represented by and associated with the moon and its three phases, waxing, full, and waning. She is invoked by a variety of names: Aphrodite, Artemis, Astaroth, Astarte, Athene, Bridget, Ceres, Saradwin, Sibyl, Diana, Demeter, Frigga, Gaia, Hecate, Isis, Kali, Kor, Lilith, Luna, Persephone, Venus, and more. She is believed to be eternal. The goddess's consort, the male horn god, is associated with the Sunday. According to most witches, he dies and is reborn every year. He too is called and invoked by many names, including Adonis, Amun-Ra, Apollo, Baphomet, Cernunnos, Dionysius, Eros, Faunus, Heads, Horus, Nui, Lucifer, Odin, Osiris, Fen, Thor, and Woden. Different witchcraft traditions and solitary practitioners diverge in the importance they attach to the mother goddess and the horn god. Some emphasize the goddess, some the horn god, while many seek a balance between the two. Differing views of the goddess or goddesses and god or gods. How do witches themselves view and experience the goddess or goddesses and god or gods? Do they really believe they exist? As one might expect from an eclectic religion that highly values autonomy, there are multiple views as to who or what the goddess and god are. Be that as it may, there are some commonalities. Let's look at the 6 primary views. First, but not foremost, is the idea that the deities of witchcraft are simply symbols, the personifications of universal principles, or of the life forces and processes of our world, for example, the ebb and flow of life, as seen in the seasonal changes, and nothing more. They are symbols used to help conceptualize the cyclical pattern of birth, life, death, and birth again. Second, they are Jungian archetypes, universal symbols of processes and events of nature and of actual potentialities within all humans, springing from the common pool of the collective unconsciousness from which we all allegedly drink. Therefore, they exist in the sense that any archetype exists. They are more than just symbols, but do not exist externally to, or independently of, humanity. Third, they are dissociative or dislocative psychological states. That is, they are a split or spin-off from a person's own psyche or being, like a multiple personality state. They have a life of their own in that sometimes they can seemingly manifest themselves outside of the person, reason, talk, give advice, travel about, and so on. However, they are dependent on a given person's psyche for their existence. Fourth, and apparently the most predominant view, the goddess and horn god and or other gods and goddesses are personifications of the monistic, genderless, universal, and eternal life force, the divine primal energy or principle. This source of all life and consciousness, which in this life and mode of existence is unknowable and incomprehensible, is personified by the goddess and horn god. They are myths, legends, or metaphors that are used in an attempt to explain or grasp the ineffable absolute one that is all, and gives life to all. This ultimately indescribable force is primarily manifested in polarities, female and male, light and darkness, goddess and god, and so forth. Scott Cunningham tells us that in Wiccan thought the goddess and the god are the twin divine beings, balanced, equal expressions of the ultimate source of all. They are dual reflections of the power behind the universe that can never be truly separated. Thus, according to this view, they can be described either as personifications of the ultimate life force or emanations from or manifestations of it, but they nonetheless can be literal conscious entities. That is, as literal as you or me. Fifth, multiple combinations of the above views are often held, depending on the individual's orientation. For example, some believe that the above 4 views are all true at one time or another. Sixth and lastly, we have the agnostic who cares view. That is, in working magic or just in everyday life, invoking the goddess and god seems to work. Thus, because of pragmatic and aesthetic reasons, some who are skeptical about, or even flatly deny, the goddesses and gods' existence still practice witchcraft. In addition to these varying views of the goddess and god,